Welcome to Real Estate Backstage. Today, I am super excited and thrilled to have with me Shawna Gilbert, Senior Vice President of RE/MAX Worldwide, and Kristie Kimnach, Executive Director of RE/MAX Commercial. Ladies, welcome to Porto, welcome to Real Estate Backstage, and welcome to RE/MAX Europe.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
having us.
you.
We're
Yeah.
honored to be here. First time in Portugal.
First time in
Yes.
Portugal.
First time in
and
Portugal.
How is it? Are you enjoying?
It's beautiful.
Love it. It's everything I thought it would be and even more. People, the food, the weather I thought was going to be a little bit nicer, a little bit warmer.
I'm so sorry.
But no apologies. We're thankful that it's
beautiful.
not raining.
Yeah, it's
We
beautiful.
thought it was going to
outside.
rain the
It's
whole
a
week.
beautiful city.
But
What
it's
we've
gorgeous.
seen.
Yeah.
And Kristie, for you, it's first time at RE/MAX Portugal Convention,
It
right?
is. Yes, and my first time in Portugal too.
Shauna, is it your first time at
It-
RE/MAX Portugal as
It
well?
is. Yep.
So how was the first impression of RE/MAX Portugal?
Of the event. I mean, it's the 25th anniversary, so I know that it was turned up a little bit. However, every year I have, a little bit of FOMO because I'm not here and I see the pictures, I see the theme parties, I see the energy. RE/MAX Portugal isn't what it is by accident. The energy, the people, the camaraderie, the team, it's a tribe, it's a vibe completely. And that's what we felt when we're here.
Yeah, the people are very passionate, and
Yeah.
it's great to see. And I think that's where they've been so successful with RE/MAX here in Portugal, or the people.
Because RE/MAX Portugal is one of the best regions in the world, right?
Yes, RE/MAX Portugal is actually the third largest network of RE/MAX affiliates, only after the US and Canada, where it originated.
And this is really incredible because so little people do know that in such a small country like Portugal, we can have so many agents, offices, and a business volume, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. What you've done here is amazing. I mean, you are the standard for what we look for when we go to other regions. We always point to RE/MAX Portugal. The owners, Manuel and Beatrice, they've created the feeling, the place where everybody wants to be. And when somebody says, how is it that RE/MAX can be successful in a country? I say, you know what? I can't tell you. You have to feel it. It's a feeling. And they've created that here. And you all are so proud of being part of the brand. You're proud of being part of each other. And you have over 9,000 affiliates. It's just amazing with a population of 10 million. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Everything is possible in Portugal. right?
Everything is.
With right people in the leadership roles,
Yep.
you can make something super big in even a super small country. For us, it's a huge honor, obviously. But at the same time, do you think that it is the quality of the leaders or is it the market?
I think it's the quality of the leaders that are able to share the vision for what they see. And they were able to do that early in the people that, when I saw how many people have been here for 20 or 25 years, those are the early adopters that were able to see the vision that they had, what they were bringing, because it was unknown when they first brought it in 1999. Nobody knew what it was. What
I-
is this? The
I
RE/MAX thing?
joined in 2005 and still we had like 3 offices at that time in whole Porto City. People didn't know absolutely what RE/MAX was. So it's so incredible
Yeah.
to see now after 25 years, everybody knows RE/MAX, everybody. There is no one single person in the street in Portugal that doesn't recognize RE/MAX as a real estate brand.
It takes leaders like you who came in early. I've seen how you are with your agents. I've seen how you are with everybody that you touch. I can imagine that, your vision, your passion for taking care of people and creating your family and your tribe of people within your office has made you extremely successful. And at the same time, has secured the foundation for what RE/MAX Portugal is. So I think thank you for being one of those early visionaries as well, because you've changed the trajectory for what was happening here.
Thank you so much for this, Shauna. And now let me ask you a very simple thing. How do you think does it impact how you start your day? What is the early habits that you have? Because is there anything special that you do to become a vice president?
I thought, thinking about this question, I wish I could tell you that I have this routine. I wake up and I do X, Y, Z to T. To be honest, I thrive in chaos.
I love it.
I have figured out how, I have 2 kids. I have a husband who is extremely successful and works out of home. He works up in the mountains during the week. So I'm a single mom during the week with a 10 and a 7-year-old, getting them to school, keeping them alive. I have 2 dogs, 1 cat, 11 chickens, and everybody's dependent on mom.
And I've heard that you also actually make your own bread.
I do make my own bread. It didn't start during COVID. Everybody got on that bandwagon during COVID. But for me, I waited until there was a little less chaos in my life and decided to keep alive a starter, because it is like another human being, keeping this thing alive so you can make bread. But, I do only the things that add something to my life, my family, to my career. Otherwise, I just don't do it because I don't have time. I don't have space. So I really focus on the things that make me who I am, help my family thrive, and, help my team thrive at the office too. Everything else I dismiss.
There is one interesting thing about you that everybody mentions, like Shawna Gilbert. First thing they say, Shawna is so unique because she can touch every person. And there is something about your energy, because you can be personal with everyone. And this is really, really unique quality for a leader. Everybody can relate to you. So how do you do it? Did you develop this quality over your career, or were you just born with this gift, I would say?
I don't think I developed it. I think, and it's interesting you say that, because you've done the DISC assessment. Have you done that?
Of course.
Okay. So I'm
fascinated by this.
Well, and this is where, to be honest, I'm a high I. I'm an IS, and a high I.
Oh,
this
okay,
is
interesting.
That ability. Most of the leaders at RE/MAX are red. They are
high D.
They are high D.
Exactly.
And we had a training, and I learned I was an I. I was actually the only I in the room. I had to do the group exercises alone.
That's so funny.
And to be honest, I was extremely insecure about being an I amongst a bunch of Ds, because, you look at the leadership, you look at what your path is, and then what you think of them.
And it's a very rare profile, high I.
Especially in the role. And so I think that is who I am. Kristie and I, when we travel, it's funny, we always talk about people, and it's like, why can't they just be nice? Why can't people, she wears a shirt that says be a good person, and we feel like we have to remind people to be good people. And so everything that we do, everything that I do, is really because I truly care. I care about people. I love people. I'm a high empathetic person, high empathy, and I just who I am, and I love making people feel special. I love giving gifts. That's my love language, and so not only is it something that I enjoy receiving, but I know other people enjoy the thought too. So if you tell me your birthday, if you tell me what you like,
5th
if you
of
tell
September, and I love Gucci.
Of course you do. So those are the things that I remember. And, I like somebody to go, oh my gosh, she was listening. She does care. Because to me, that's
the way. People are shocked, I think, because nobody expects that the woman on such a high position actually care, right?
I probably care more sometimes than I should, but I'd rather have that than be the opposite. I'd rather feel the pain. I'd rather, have somebody disappoint than not feel it at all. So I am who I am. Leadership hasn't changed me. They've told me that as I become a leader, your empathy is going to go down. You're going to not feel the same way. You're going to not be passionate.
Who told you that?
My coach, when I first became a vice president, they test you, you get feedback from other people and they're like, wow, you are highly empathetic, but trust me, that's going to go away the more that you lead people, and you're not going to trust people. And I choose the other route. I choose to trust until you give me a reason not to. And it hasn't changed me. And instead I've been able to embrace people for how they come. On my team, I have different strengths. I have people who balance each other out in the ways that, others can't. And I see that in them. And everybody has a weakness. And I don't want somebody to feel bad or feel like they have to develop that into a strength. I will just use you for the strength that is natural to you.
Wow, amazing. And when you did the DISC assessment, did you find it like, okay, because I have high E and I don't have that high D, does it make me good enough?
You've heard of imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Immediately, I started to feel that way. And I actually had a leader who, became my new boss, and they asked me, how do you lead? And I told them, I said, well, I'm actually a high I. And they said, really? You are? You don't seem like a high I. You're not flighty. You're not. And I was actually taken aback that they looked at an I for all the negative traits. And I said, to be honest, I have a lot of really great qualities as an I that allow me to see things that other people don't.
It is a very interesting profile. My niece is actually high I, and this is how I understood exactly the way that she can connect with people and how empathetic she is. But then again, usually you think, okay, I have to be a high D to be a good leader. So another myth that goes down.
Another myth. I mean, my what's the blue? The spreadsheet connoisseur, so that when I develop, I can transition for work, because usually, like I say, I live in chaos and I love chaos and a dirty desk, and that's my my place. But when it comes to organizing numbers and understanding the data, I can actually evolve into that, to what I need to be as a leader, and look at data, more than what it feels like. I have to actually see things and see trends. And so I'm able to use that as well. But D is my lowest. I'm not a driver.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Okay. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
of course.
Because really, I would always assume that everybody in a high position, they have to be a super high D.
No.
Kristie, do you know your desk?
I don't.
Okay.
That test was done before I came on board, and I haven't done it.
We will have you tested later.
I was like, I can make it up.
Yeah, I can guess. And I think you and I are very much aligned. So
Yeah.
I think you would probably be an I and S. I think, the driver, you're really great at sales. So there is D in your mojo, your mechanism, but
My mixture.
your mixture.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that self-awareness, I think, is the most important piece of that, is actually knowing yourself, and so I think it is good information to know, and then embracing it, I embrace it for the good of it. And
So I can tell you a secret that everybody in my office knows. I am obviously 99% D, like nothing else, which is so scary, because when there is a wall, I'll always just go like a bulldozer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's sometimes it's really hard to navigate, but then again, my team, all of them have to have high D, because otherwise I cannot connect with them.
Yeah.
No, I have such a hard time connecting with people that are, for example, low C or S. It's just, please move this chair. And then in a year, the chair is still in the same place.
Yeah. See, but you'd have an I in your office, think through the balance. If you and I were to be office owners together, it would actually be an incredible balance. And I'm surprised at a D, because you are highly empathetic. I think you connect with your people more so than them just being similar to you. You're successful for a reason, and you have to have that ability to connect, whether you are modifying yourself for being around, people and you know yourself, you're a driver. And I think sometimes you also have to lower that drive to connect. So I think you modify it in the office space too.
Well, when I discovered Heidi, I was just scared because I thought I didn't have enough of another letters. I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
But with time, I think, especially with my therapist, we started working on one emotion each time. So over the years, I was like learning, okay, this is rage, this is this. I was learning like a child, for past years, the emotions in order to be more empathetic with my team, with everyone, right? Because empathy is such a key of success to any leadership role.
Yeah. Well, and I think the makeup of what you want your office to be, and qualities and traits of people, whether they're an I, an S, a C, or a D. I think there's a drive in somebody and a passion and the ability to make you proud that you look for somebody. And I think you like high achievers, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, obviously they've been extremely successful in your office with that. You select well.
We love our top producers. It's true. And one thing they always say about our team is how much they appreciate the fact that we can offer them different management style with every single person. So we adapt ourselves precisely to every agent. And this is something which apparently doesn't happen in many companies. And I was like, really? How is that possible, right? Because this is the only way I know how to do it.
Well, good leaders have to know what motivates the people on their team.
Yeah.
And everybody's motivated by something different. And it's just making sure you take the time and learning what motivates them is going to be completely different than somebody else. And knowing that, and I don't have as much experience of knowing your office and your people, but Shawna's told me so much. And I feel like you've done that and made that culture. So then people want to come work there and work for you because you created a culture that people feel valued. And it's because you know what their motivators are.
And for me, RE/MAX is a culture. It's a lifestyle, right? So it makes perfect sense. Like, how would we do it different way, right?
Right. And you know what, for you too, it's also tough love. Like nobody's scared of tough love, because when it comes to it, somebody knows that you're doing it because you know how successful they can be. And you see more in them that maybe than they see in themselves. And that's amazing to have a leader too,
This is the
that
power
elevates
of transformation,
you.
right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I motivate my team with fresh eggs and sourdough
and bread and pizza
you
crust.
crack the whip and show them, how to do it.
So my other two co-hosts that are not here today with us, we just had this conversation a few weeks ago, and I asked them how did they join RE/MAX, how was their story, and they recalled me a very funny thing. When I started the office, I always had in my drawer cookies, calming pills, and tea. So and tissues. So depending how somebody would be feeling, I would be always offering some kind of support,
Depending on who it is. Yeah.
Well, we walked in and you gave us ginger shots. You have food available. Which type of water do you want? I mean, you are a caretaker. And so
you know what? I hate for people to know that.
Scratch that from the podcast. Nope, she's just a driver.
Edit that out.
Because I always feel like I know I deeply care, but then there is this necessity of having a mask. Like, in order to be successful, you need to be cold and you can't really be yourself. And this is just such a myth.
It is.
It is such a myth. And people see you for who you are, despite the fact that you're trying to put a mask. Because you can't hide that empathy that you have inside. As tough as you are, it's like peeling back the onion, right?
Exactly.
You know that there's this hard shell on the outside, but then as you peel it back, you're just as soft as the rest of us.
Well, thank you for taking my mask off. This is really interesting because peeling the onion is what we try always to do here in this podcast. That's why I have some specific questions for you. And we like to talk the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So
Can we just stop at the good?
Yeah.
Well, maybe a little bad, and then we'll just skip the ugly. It's not in my personality to talk about it.
I have here a surprise
Oh, okay.
from a person that actually had a huge impact for me. And I think it was her that actually introduced us. So Michelle Goodrich,
I had
our
a feeling
very,
that's whose name was going to come up on this.
our very good friend,
Yes.
when we shared that I would be coming here today with you, she reminded about the session you had in Remax Brazil with
Oh, yeah.
women.
Yeah.
And so she would like for me to ask you, and I think this is such a great question. Apparently, you took the role of VP when your daughter was
Was weeks old.
weeks
Yes.
old.
I wasn't even back from maternity leave. And in the US, we only have maternity leave for 3 months. And I interviewed for the role while I was still on maternity leave, not thinking that I didn't want to not get it because I didn't try. I would have rather have not gotten it because I wasn't the right person. And so I went for it anyway, and I got it. And then I thought, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But you know what? I take signs from things. Silly me, I took sign from a Dove chocolate. You know how they have quotes on the inside of chocolate?
Like a Chinese cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar.
Okay.
And this was, it's when I first came to Remax, I'd never been in real estate. I'd never done franchising. I thought I'm in over my head, but this job looks intriguing. And a Dove chocolate that I opened said, "You go, girl." And I went, "This is my sign. I gotta do it. I gotta interview." And you know what? I just believe that you do your best. In the end, it knows if you get the job, you're meant for it. And that was, I did. And I didn't know how I was going to make it work. I had a brand new baby. I had a 3-year-old at the time. How am I going to travel the world? How am I going to do this with my husband being gone?
Did you feel that as you are a mom and as you're taking such a high position, do you think like you have to do twice as much as the others?
Unless you're a mom, unless you're a mom and can relate, everybody else in leadership and in business views it as a negative and a weakness.
I know.
Right?
I know.
Especially you have a sick child, and I want to be there for my sick child. But to others, that's a weakness that you're going to put that over being at the office, or working hard and I told myself from the beginning, I'm a mom first. I'm a wife. I have family. They will be with me when this job isn't here. And so I've always put them first. However, I don't dismiss my responsibility at Remax, and it has never affected what I'm able to do as the Senior Vice President of Global and Commercial.
Congrats, Shawna. It is, when I look at you, it is so truly unique because more than 110 countries in the world, right? How does it feel to be a woman in such a high position?
It has its moments. The majority of our network is men, both on the global and the commercial side. So I know Kristie has a perspective.
And commercial
here
is
too.
like 99.9 men?
Probably 98% men. Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And relating, because this is a relational business. So relating to, the opposite sex or somebody, a country owner in another country that women may not have the ability to elevate like we do in the US and in Canada and Portugal and, some countries that are forward. There are some still that women don't have the same authority and the same space to be an executive. Those are the countries at first I was nervous about, working through and being a leader. But gratefully with Remax, we have very respectful owners, and a lot of them want to change the way it's viewed in the country. They want to be the Dave Linigers who said, you know what, women probably are better in real estate than even men, and I want to elevate them to be able to do that. And so gratefully, that's part of the story that we get to be part of.
This is so unique. Now, in Portugal, we have 50-50. 50% of people in Remax are women, 50% is men. But I know it's such a rare example, right?
Yeah.
Except for the United States and Canada, they tend to have more women on the residential side, on
Res-
residential,
Okay.
Yeah.
non-commercial. But yeah, they're and Dave and Gail Leniger did that because women weren't working in real estate in the 1970s, and they realized this women are better at it. And
Yeah.
now you see how many women are in residential real estate.
And Kristie, you being in commercial, male dominated, I have another question for you. Is it true that you need to have finance background? You need to be very good at
Nope.
numbers to work at commercial? Because I think people are scared
They're
sometimes.
intimidated.
Yes.
Women are intimidated to get into it. It's been a male-dominated industry since it began. But no, I'm in it. I don't have a financial background or women that I see moving
'Cause
into
it's
it.
journalism, right? You
My
can-
my degree was in journalism and mass communications, but advertising. So I have that background of knowing how something's portrayed and who it's going to appeal to, and which is the advertising side, and that's where I started my career. But then I just evolved into different positions as I learned myself. I don't know how well you learn yourself in your 20s, but you know, you're like,
We think we do.
what was that?
Then we take off the mask.
yeah. Yeah. But no, you don't. You know, it just has that stigma that it's what men do. But yeah, it's more business oriented, but it's not anything, it's not brain surgery. It's numbers, it's performance, calculators. AI can do so much of that now for them. But more and more women are getting into commercial real estate because it is on the business side. It's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. You don't show property in the evenings. You don't have open houses on the weekends.
Incredible. I've never thought
Yeah.
about that.
And so if they have
Okay.
families, it makes sense for them. I even know some men that are in it because they have families and they're like, I'm coaching my kid in baseball on the weekends. I can't have an open house, you know, and do. So that's where I see more women getting into the industry.
So imagine that you are an agent in Portugal.
Mhm.
Okay, you are starting. You are a rookie agent. Do you think it's a good idea to start working in a commercial, like a niche?
No, my opinion, no. I think, well, if you mean like doing residential and commercial and just a little bit of commercial, no. I think if you're going to do commercial, the thing with commercial real estate is education costs more, technology costs more. And so you have to invest in yourself.
And does Remax provide any special kind of training for commercial?
It depends on where you're located, I would say. There are many organizations out there for commercial because we call it the Wild West of real estate, commercial is. So there are different education courses you can take. We've aligned ourselves with CCIM, which is a commercial real estate organization known for their exceptional commercial content for courses. People can get an accreditation with them too, if they want. Again, they invest in themselves to get it because it's like having a master's in commercial real estate. So they can take that route. We have some courses that are in Remax University. We're going to add more later this year. So you can always look at
Wonderful.
that and take
Okay.
them. You can see what's in your local regions too. Global's different, right? Global doesn't have as many, and meaning global regions. The countries don't have as many commercial elements to it. You know, they're still learning. They're still getting into it. They're still figuring it out. You'll still just see mainly the big, huge commercial firms like CBRE or JLL, Cushman and Wakefield. In other countries, not as many small boutique commercial firms like what we see in the US and Canada. So it's an opportunity to get into commercial while it's still.
And
still-
Monday to Thursday, listen, I'm moving.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and it's
but
business.
And here, you know, we're developing it, right?
Yeah.
So it has been known as a lot of residential, and so we've been having conversations about maybe this could be your next office,
Mhm.
because I do think it's the right time to have it as a niche, but have, you know, specific people designated for commercial who then pass along referrals to your
Referrals.
residential office and back and
Exactly.
forth. And then you've cornered both ends of the market. And usually when if you're having a bad market on the residential side, usually the commercial is the opposite. And so you have a balance
Yes.
within your business. And one last thing about, something that triggered when you said about, kind of women coming in here, we generally discount ourselves as women first. Like, we don't need somebody else to tell us that we can't do it, because we are the ones that go up there
You tell it to
you
yourself
tell
every
to
day.
first, hey, Shawna, we want you on the big stage at R4. Oh, I can't do that. That's a better space for somebody else. But I've just discounted myself when somebody else believes in me and who has asked me. So we as women need to ensure that let somebody else discount it, but let's take those opportunities that are given to us. And that's the thing about commercial real estate is it is male dominated, but man, Kristie and I have said, if we ever leave RE/MAX, we're going to open our own office, because
for
this is a
commercial.
niche.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
aren't there
It's
yet.
a niche in that way. And I'm sorry, I misunderstood, thinking you meant as an individual. But I think if you go all in as commercial and become an expert,
We are
And-
recruiting.
yeah.
Okay?
and well,
Yeah.
the referrals alone, that commercial person, when you recruit them in, you can say, make relationships with the residential side and get their referrals. And then they just start working off referrals. We see offices that are so successful because the commercial agents and the residential agents have a great relationship. So anytime that residential agent, maybe they're showing a luxury property to a doctor and he's like, hey, guess what? I need additional medical office space. And that residential agent, luxury agent, can say, oh, let me connect you to, so-and-so, Joanna in my office. She is a commercial expert. She can help you. And that's where it works really well, because the big firms don't have the opportunity to work with residential agents like RE/MAX can.
Yes, thank you for sharing this, because this is really such a great,
Yeah.
it's a different vision, different perspective, and such a great opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a huge opportunity. It's there. It's just got to get tapped into.
Yeah. And it's not organized yet, even for RE/MAX here in Portugal.
Yeah.
So we need a visionary, Joanna.
Yeah. That next office can be a commercial only.
No pressure.
No pressure. Commercial
pressure.
commercial agents anyway, in the US and Canada tend to like to work in an office, so you'll see them more working in the office setting. But again, it's like Monday through Friday or Thursday, like you said. Add the extra hours and do Monday through Thursday. But another little thing that I've noticed over the years working with commercial agents, because they tend to be arrogant men, it just is the nature of it. The ones that are more friendly and welcoming, they're the ones that are getting the referrals from the residential side. We have the opportunity is incredible. We're not there yet. If we could just hire or recruit more commercial experts. Now, you can become commercial. It says, say somebody's working in residential. I just say, get the education, look to take courses, and get a commercial coach and a mentor. Two different things, though. Two different people, the mentor and the coach. But there are a ton of coaching programs out there for commercial real estate that are worldwide. And that's the best way to get into it.
Okay, awesome. It's a great perspective.
Yeah.
And talking about coaches and mentors, you ladies travel the world. You know all the best entrepreneurs. You have been inspired by thousands of amazing people around the world. And being in RE/MAX, you can, in the conventions, we have this unique possibility to hear the best people in the world. So, from the experience of both of you, what was that one person, mentor, coach, leader that you have had, and it made like such a big difference in your career?
I have three, actually. Two of them are women.
Wow.
One of them happens to be, here in Portugal is Beatrice Rubio.
Definitely.
And then we have Dottie from RE/MAX Argentina.
Okay.
Two powerful women who have changed their networks, changed the lives of many, are very, strong women with a softer side. And then another person is Walter Schneider.
This is so incredible because when I look at people that inspired me deeply, it is definitely Walter, Beatrice, Dottie along the way.
Yeah,
Really
there's
unique.
something about them. I think that Walter showed me he's He's passionate. He's a visionary. He's very smart, but he is so kind. He has always led first with kindness with people I've seen who he serves. And same with Beatrice and Dottie. They've always been willing to share with others. Sometimes people who are so successful, they want to keep it for themselves.
It is a very common thing, when
it is.
When people come to our office, I think a lot of people expect that we will not say how do we do our business. And there is one thing I always say: our doors are open. Please come. We'll show you exactly what we are doing, and then you will do two things. You can do two things: either do it better or worse. You can't do it the same because it is always so personal, right?
It is. It is. How about you? Outside of me.
Besides Shawna. But I'm not going to have as many experiences with RE/MAX. But one of the best,
because you are with the company for how many years? 3.5.
I've been with RE/MAX for 3.5 years, and before that, I worked for a big commercial real estate data platform. That's but can I just say anybody that I've heard speak that really could? Yeah. It's a priest named Father Greg Boyles, and he travels the United States, and he has passion for working with the underprivileged that were maybe born. What I learned from him is you never know what anyone has gone through, and you can't judge them. You cannot judge anyone. And that had a profound effect on me. A homeless person, they're like, if you have something, give it to them. Give them some. You don't know what they went through to do that. And he's done an incredible job with creating an organization called the Homeboys, where he helps rehabilitate gang members that have been in prison. And
incredible.
It's incredible. And I got to meet some of those past gang members that had been in prison, and you hear their stories and how they were raised, and they didn't ask for that. And then it makes you realize, like, here we are thinking we go so quickly to judge a book by its cover. And he had the most profound effect on me, and understanding that we don't know what people are going through. We don't know how they were raised. We don't, that was my favorite.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. For me, it was Walter, actually. And he shared this phrase by a very famous philosopher. You'll see that it's not how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And this was Rocky Balboa,
yeah,
right? My favorite philosopher.
Yeah. I think that's a great one. Of course it's yours.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
It's such a great phrase. And for me, it taught me really that, before I thought, okay, I have to be very powerful. I have to wear my mask in order to be a leader. And that phrase, it tells me, okay, after all, I have to be resilient, period.
Yeah. Yeah. Be resilient, but be soft too.
Yeah. Let them see your soft side.
Yeah. And I like, talking earlier about you not wanting to expose that side. I think that's where you shine. You are tough, and you get things done, and you're aggressive, and that's why you're successful, because that's your own personal drive. But the way you are to others, you don't even notice it. But it is, it is that soft side that really adheres people to you, and they won't leave because of it. Somebody can leave a driver, but somebody doesn't leave somebody who's shared themselves and allowed them the safe space to share themselves too.
Yeah.
And safe space is something for me which is really important. In our office, we have a lot of women that they joined us when they were going through a divorce, single moms, really struggling. And now I can see them after years just thriving in real estate. I just saw them yesterday, and I will see them today on stage being recognized by their amazing effort. They give new lives, how investments, a possibility to take care of their children. It's just unique, such a transformational power which we have in RE/MAX.
Yeah.
And then see people, just changing their lives.
Changing their lives. You've provided a space for people to go to be themselves, broken, struggling,
Exactly.
and showing them the support and the community that they need to help remind them who they are and that they can still do it. And that's why you have such a great office, and you've seen that support. You see them cheering each other on. They're not worried that somebody else got a client and they didn't. They support and they love somebody who's successful, and that's all in the leadership, Joanna. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yesterday, I received my 20 years recognition in Remax.
Yeah.
And I was almost crying on stage.
It's incredible.
Because I thought that day that I started in Remax Matosinhos, I opened the door. I remember exactly as if it was yesterday. I would never imagine that would be actually the beginning of everything in my life. Everything. For 20 years, it's no longer a work. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remax has provided opportunity for so many people around the world, but it's just a brand. And what carries the brand are the people behind it. And I've had, and Kristie has had the sincere honor to see the people who elevate the brand, make it what it is today. And Joanna, you're one of those. And so we thank you for that. And
Thank you.
For, putting, we talk about it. We want it to be ethical. We want it to be honest. We want it to be community, a vibe, like I said, and it takes people. And, we just appreciate everybody here that we've met.
Yeah.
But especially you for this opportunity
Yeah.
to be on this podcast, share our story, share your story, and hope that people can connect to it and see maybe they want to be part of what we have happening, within Remax, and now they know who to call.
Thank you. Today when I look at Remax as a brand, it is 50 years old, right?
53.
53 years old.
Yeah.
So there's this interesting concept in the market that a lot, I don't say competition, I would say our colleagues, our friends from the other brand. So what our competition says often is that Remax is such an old brand. And so we are new, we are hype, we are cool. And I would like to know, what do you think Remax is really doing or planning in order to be also available for the new generations?
Well, we've started to see Remax really looking at, what the competitors, who's coming and trying to disrupt the market. And we have a lot more disruption happening in the US and Canada than we do outside, which is great for us globally because we get to see what's happening before it actually happens. And so the brand is, we've just gone through a refresh. So not only does it look, but we're looking at the tools, so when we talk about tech and tools, there's so many people that want the latest and greatest things, and they're the first ones that are not going to adopt that latest and greatest thing that you present.
Don't actually use it. Right?
They don't use it, they don't even put the information into a basic CRM, which is like step one of being part of real estate. And so, when we talk about all the, AI coming out and it's way more advanced than I think people need. People need to be focused on the relationship, because that's our point of difference. Is we have the ability to connect with the consumer, find home for them, which is the most important piece. We don't want them to find home through technology. We don't need them to be talking to a robot. They need somebody who has the experience, who understands the need, and can connect them through the transaction and make it as pain-free as possible. I said as pain-free because obviously, it's a big transaction. So there are going to be pain points, but, working with a professional to do that. And so we're focused on what we know best, which is the relationship and the people that we have on the grounds to do it, but then arming our agents and our network with tech that is going to help them organize their business and make it easier. And that's what we're focused on as a brand.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing this. And Kristie, for you in commercial, is there any big thing coming in?
Where, since I came on board, I was recruited to Remax to grow the commercial brand because it has the potential to be there. And and the opportunity, especially globally, to grow the Remax commercial brand. So I think That's what we're looking more at, like making it a more professional so that people take it seriously and separate it from the residential side and know that we have incredible experts in commercial. And so I think working towards elevating the professionalism of the RE/MAX commercial brand is what you'll be seeing with this side of the business, so that we are contenders and players on the big playing field of commercial real estate.
They
Thank
don't
you.
even see us coming.
Yeah.
Competitors. Just wait.
Shh. Don't.
Tonight in our office party, we'll have actually our commercial team there.
Oh, nice.
So I'm really interested in putting you guys together. So
Yeah.
then, because I don't think they even know that there exists a special
Right.
team.
And that's my job. That's why I'm here, and that's why I go
Yeah.
around with Shawna to these different regions, is to let people know you have this opportunity. What's it going to do? It's just going to make you more successful.
Exactly.
And help you recruit different types of people now into the office too. So it's what Shawna said. If there's a lull on the residential side, there's always something in commercial that's performing always. A lot of people just automatically think, oh, it's office. No, there's industrial, there's medical space, there's land. Land, 99% of the time, land is a commercial transaction, because that piece of land is generating income somehow. Farms, ranches, solar, data centers, all of that is commercial. So there's so much to it. So there's a huge opportunity for the regions to get the brand going.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Because definitely looking for opportunities to grow.
Yeah.
This is just one more possibility to expand your operations, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I love RE/MAX, because there is always something new. There is always something different, like opportunity in anything for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this, whether it's global, I mean, I look at the opportunity to expand. Sky's the limit, right? We have countries that we haven't even entered into yet for expansion. So when we talk about agent count, right now we're over 145,000, but the number can be, endless. We can have
Exactly. Yeah.
hundreds of thousands. And on the commercial side, we are just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
People don't even know that we're doing it. And so it'll be the biggest surprise when we expand that side
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So I'm just blessed that I get to work with two divisions of the company that have truly endless possibilities.
Yes, incredible. And so, Shawna, Kristie, thank you so much for taking your time to be here today. Thank you so much for, sharing anything you know. Thank you for accepting my invitation for the party tonight as well.
We'll be there. Can't wait.
It's an honor. And most of all, thank you for being so inspirational, because since years when we met first time, I always looked up to you so much. And I never imagined that I would be able actually to have you guys here today. So it's such a huge privilege, honor after 20 years in this brand. Wow. I'm beyond grateful and super, super happy. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor for us to be here with someone so successful in your offices. And I'm excited to meet everyone later today too.
So just to finish, do you think good girls do sales?
Do I think good girls do sales? Good girls, bad girls, all girls do sales. Yes,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Because there is this idea that good girls don't sell, good girls don't ask, good girls do not get to be vice president of RE/MAX.
No.
Well, you want to know, I think what happens is the good girls get there in different ways that they don't even see it coming. So,
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies. Enjoy your time in Portugal. And
Thank you.
see you later.
Thank
See ya.
you.